2025 Formula One season has already started with tension and controversy, and we haven't even reached the first race in Melbourne. In a surprising and dramatic turn of events, Red Bull Racing has officially lodged complaints to the FIA, targeting three major teams, Ferrari, McLaren and Mercedes, over the legality of their rear-wing designs during the pre-season testing phase. What initially appeared to be a quiet build-up to a much-anticipated season has now transformed into a full-blown technical debate that could influence the pecking order right from the very first race. According to reports emerging just days before the start of the Australian Grand Prix, Red Bull has raised concerns about the flexibility of the rear wings used by its closest rivals during winter testing. These suspicions were strong enough for the FIA to intervene, with the governing body announcing that it will implement even stricter flexibility tests on rear wings ahead of the Melbourne race. This is not a minor adjustment. These will be more stringent, enhanced procedures introduced specifically because of suspicions surrounding what is being described by some as a revival of the mini DRS concept. This isn't the first time rear wing flexibility has been under scrutiny. In fact, it's a topic that has returned time and again in Formula One's long history of technical innovation and bending the grey areas of the regulations. Last year, McLaren was forced to make mid-season changes to its rear wing after footage circulated online showing illegal movement under braking conditions. The FIA quickly stepped in, clarified the technical directive, and the issue was seemingly resolved until now. During pre-season testing this year, observant fans and rival teams began noticing certain patterns. With onboard footage, slow-motion replays, and comparisons between different cars, visual evidence began to emerge that suggested some teams were still achieving considerable flexibility in their rear wings. This includes movement that, while not outright breaking current rules, may be tiptoeing on the edge of legality, as defined by FIA's technical directive. Red Bull took it seriously enough to push the FIA into action. The technical director of Red Bull even addressed these concerns openly during a press conference, adding fuel to the fire. His statements were not vague hints. They were direct accusations, targeting the rear wings of Ferrari, McLaren and Mercedes. He insisted that these wings exhibit excessive movement under aerodynamic load, giving them a straight-line speed advantage without fully opening the main DRS flap, hence the nickname Mini DRS. What is Mini DRS, and why is it such? A hot topic? Essentially, it's a concept where the rear wing or parts of it flex under aerodynamic load in such a way that it reduces drag, similarly to how DRS functions. However, unlike DRS, which is strictly regulated and only deploys under specific conditions, Mini DRS could theoretically provide a constant or at least recurring drag reduction benefit without being officially triggered. It's a clever workaround, but one that dances dangerously close to the line of what's allowed. In response to the controversy, the FIA has confirmed that for the season opener in Melbourne, they will be implementing a new set of visual and load-based tests. These include more precise measuring devices, new camera angles and reference stickers placed on critical parts of the rear wing to detect even the slightest movement that goes beyond the legal flex limits. This means that teams can no longer rely on visual tricks or clever engineering to slip past technical inspections unnoticed. These tests will not just focus on the main rear wing elements, but will also include more stringent load checks on the beam wing, the component located just below the rear wing and above the diffuser. According to FIA Technical Regulation 3.15.2b, this beam wing must not deflect more than 0.8 millimeters under a perpendicular load of 150 newtons. Any more movement than that would be a breach of regulations. This rule has existed, but now it's being enforced with greater intensity due to these recent complaints. What adds more complexity to the situation is the fact that each of the three accused teams, Ferrari, McLaren and Mercedes, showed varying levels of rear wing flexibility during the test sessions. Side-by-side comparisons of footage show different amounts of deflection in the rear wings, especially when cars are at high speeds or under braking. Mercedes, in particular, seemed to show a significant amount of movement, even more than what was observed with McLaren last season before they were told to make changes. This has led to an urgent push from rival teams and fans to clarify whether the current rules are strict enough, or if teams are now simply better at exploiting existing loopholes. The FIA's decision to upgrade its testing protocols signals that they are taking the issue seriously, and it could lead to major consequences for teams found in breach of these limits. Another interesting layer to this entire situation is the potential impact on team performance and the championship fight. If the rear wings of any of the top 3 teams are declared illegal, they will be forced to redesign those components quickly, possibly before or immediately after Melbourne. This could have a domino effect on aerodynamic balance, overall car setup and competitiveness, especially given how closely matched teams appeared during testing. Moreover, if the FIA determines that these rear wings were in breach of flexibility rules, it could trigger further technical directives or even retrospective penalties, depending on when and how the breaches occurred. There's also speculation that teams might have to return to older, more conservative wing specifications, which could shift the power dynamics heading into the early races of the season. This isn't just about rear wings either. The entire aerophilosophy of modern F1 cars relies on precise airflow manipulation, and the rear wing is a key piece of that puzzle. When teams design a car, every bit of the aerodynamics is carefully calculated, and even minor changes, like a millimeter difference in wing flex, can result in major performance gains or losses. This is especially crucial when we consider circuits like Melbourne's Albert Park, which mixes high-speed straights with medium and low-speed corners. Any loss in straight-line speed due to less flexible wings could hurt a team's chances of qualifying well and scoring points. It's also worth noting that there is already a front-wing technical directive planned for later in the season, due to come into effect by round 9 in Spain. That directive is expected to introduce tougher regulations regarding the front-wing flexibility, which has also been a topic of quiet discussion among teams and the FIA. When combined with the rear-wing clampdown happening now, it suggests that 2025 could be the year of aerodynamic regulation tightening. This situation is reminiscent of previous seasons when other teams were accused of using flexi-wings or other clever tricks to gain an edge. History shows that these kinds of disputes can define a season, especially when the championship battle is tight. Red Bull's decision to raise the alarm so early in the season tells us they believe this could give them or cost them a crucial performance edge. As we get closer to Melbourne, teams will be scrambling to ensure their designs comply with the updated tests. Some may need to change parts, rerun simulations, or even alter their race strategies based on how much performance they expect to lose without the additional rear-wing flexibility. It will also be interesting to see how the FIA enforces these tests during a busy race weekend. Will they conduct tests in FP1 and FP2? Will they perform random checks post-qualifying or post-race? These questions remain unanswered, but the attention they've brought is already shaking things up. One certainty is that all eyes will be on those rear wings during the Australian Grand Prix. Fans, analysts, and rival engineers alike will be looking closely to see which cars still show signs of movement, which ones have changed visibly, and which teams might suddenly lose performance. So what does all this mean for the 2025 season as a whole? In many ways, it means that technical scrutiny and regulatory enforcement will play as big a role in shaping the championship as driver talent or raw speed. We've already seen this many times in the sport's history, where rules, interpretations, and protests have defined title fights, and it looks like 2025 could be another one of those years. Melbourne will not just be the season opener, it's going to be a proving ground for the FIA's enforcement, for Red Bull's accusations, and for the engineering integrity of Ferrari, McLaren, and Mercedes. The outcome of this saga could give us a very early indication of who will be fighting at the front and who may need to go back to the drawing board. Whether the accusations are proven or dismissed, whether new wing designs appear or not, one thing is clear. The first race of 2025 is now about much more than just racing. It's about regulation, inspection, and a deep, ongoing battle between innovation and control. And as we all know, in Formula One, that's often where the real action happens.